Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Comic Source. Have a creator who I just love to chat with. He's been on the show before. He's a fantastic artist. My pleasure to welcome Chad Hardin back to the show. Chad, thanks for joining me.
Hey everybody, how we doing?
God, dude, it's been like I think 10 years,
It's been
right?
a it's been
It's
a
been a
hot minute.
long it's been a long time since you blew up with Harley Quinn and how the
Yeah,
time flies, man.
yeah.
But we're here today to talk about your campaign that's going on with Zoop. In the interest of full disclosure, everybody, we're recording this before it starts, but it should be going on by the time this is released and you've seen it. Do we have a date on the release yet, Chad?
So okay, Zoop doesn't like to say when the release date's going to be, and I'm trusting them, but very, very, very soon. Can I say
Yeah, very soon. Yeah. And again, everybody, so I'm going to drop this episode the day that it goes live on
Okay.
audio feed and YouTube. So if you're seeing this, if you're hearing this, that means it's live. There's a link in the show notes. You can go check it out. It's your fourth volume, your fourth art book.
Yep.
Um, and just give us an idea of what that means to you. And I mean, four volumes of your work and how your work's progressed over time. I mean, we're talking before we got started recording about it. Geez, it gets harder as you get older, but you've got a body of work now that there's got to be some sense of accomplishment, right?
Well, yes, and most of the artwork that you're going to see in the Art of Chad Hardin Volume 4 is only going to be available if you buy one of my prints. It's basically the artwork that I produce outside of professional comics or publishing comics that I feel is proud enough to uh, let everybody see it. Because you're doing in between doing your normal interior pages and your covers and all that. You're producing a lot of artwork for commissions and comic shows and whatnot sells. I mean, you name it. And so while there's a lot of fans who enjoy seeing your work in comics, they also want to see your work, what you're producing. And so these are the pieces that I feel are good enough to be made into a print or good enough to be solicited over and over again. But if you're not like seeing me at shows and like or if you are seeing me at shows and you feel like there's too much stuff, I tell people if they can't decide, the art volumes are a really good way to go because there's a picture of like everything on my table within those four volumes of those books. So so yeah, it's stuff that you wouldn't get to see otherwise. It's sort of a behind the scenes
Yeah,
type of deal.
and a fantastic package. Hardcover looks nice on your shelf because that's the thing. Like I love buying prints, but I can't. I mean, I've been going to shows for 12 years, and I have no wall space left. And it's like,
Right. I'm putting my prints in portfolios just like you.
yeah,
And you're absolutely right. There's unless you're going to take down your pictures of grandma and grandpa, which you shouldn't, by the
yeah.
way. As much as people tell me stuff like that sometimes, like put your grandma and grandpa back up. But yeah, I'm in the same dilemma. So and these are basically these are great coffee table books. So these are books you can have out. These are books you can have on display, and they're nice conversation starters. And yeah, and
Yeah,
they,
and
they are
like
they're pretty books. They're not slipshod.
they're great quality, and again, it's things that may not. Some people don't get a chance. That maybe there's no shows nearby, or it just doesn't make financial sense for them, or what have you. So this is a way to see some of the or the commission stuff. Very few people get a chance to see that a lot of times. So this is a chance. You're a fan of Chad's work to see some of the stuff that hasn't been seen. Um, but let me ask you, was it tough? I mean, obviously you've got a big body of work. We were talking about that fourth volume. Was it tough to curate? Was it tough to decide what to
Yes,
put in? And
it really is because you you're taught. Oh, well, first of all, I would say that I only get a chance to photograph or scan maybe half of my artwork that I
Mhm.
that I because like if I'm doing a live show on a whatnot or if I'm on a convention floor and things are busy, there's lots of times where I'll give them their books and sometimes I even give them their books forgetting to sign them. I mean, that's how crazy things are, you know.
Yeah.
And usually they get to come back and say, "Hey, you forgot to sign this, and
Yeah.
it's no problem." But no, I've had people call me from Europe like, "Dude, you didn't sign your commission." I'm like, oh no. So the answer to that is yes. And sometimes it's very hard to decide what to put in and what to leave out. So, but the cool part of that is you're getting to see what I feel is the best of the best. Because if I feel like the artwork, nobody bats 1,000 all the
Hmm.
time.
Hmm.
I think my batting average is pretty good, but these are the humdingers. These are the ones that you hit out of the ballpark, so to speak. So
If you go back and you look, like you take a look at the artwork that's in volume four, and again, nobody bats 1,000, but you go back and look at the artwork in volume one, can you see the changes in your style? Can you see how you've like improved or things that you've learned over time? Are you one of those artists that goes back and looks at your earliest work and you kind of cringe going, "Oh, I can't believe I did that."
yeah, yeah. There will be no second printings on because no, it's just like you said, and I was definitely proud of it at the time.
Hmm.
But you grow as an artist, you learn, and hopefully, you're getting better until the day you die. And so, yeah, sometimes I look at some of that stuff in book one and cringe. But if you were a fan in book one and you're a fan in book three, that just means that you know that when you pick up book four, that the artwork's going to be that much better, that much more exciting.
Yeah, exactly. And again, whether you're a writer or an illustrator, you work in this field, you work in a creative medium, you got to continue to challenge yourself and try new things. Otherwise, I think from a creative standpoint, if you stagnate, it's hard to stay motivated, right? Right, hard to have passion.
Yeah, well, and the only way you stagnate is if you're not working.
Hmm.
Okay. Uh, so and don't get me wrong, I know lots of artists who and I was even one of them. I never dreamt in a million years that I'd actually be successful doing this. My goal was just to do it.
Hmm.
I never thought I never thought I would be in the position I'm in. So thank you to everyone who supported me throughout the years. God bless all of you. Because I'm getting to sort of live almost a fantasy life that I never dreamt possible. Uh, I just loved comics growing up. I loved drawing them. I loved collecting them, and I just wanted to, like when I would send in stuff to Marvel and DC, I had another job. I've been a full-time video game developer. I've been a full-time in-house artist for illustration. Uh, I did video game marketing, so I've always been involved in art, but as far as like doing comics, it wasn't until I don't think I know that I was 33 before I was published by Marvel and DC. And the average age of their artists is like 16 to 18.
Yeah.
Very young. Very, very young. So I was just happy to get in. And then I lucked out. Jimmy and Amanda really liked what I did and brought me into Harley Quinn. And that was like drinking from the fire hose right
Yeah.
there, you know.
Yeah.
That was nuts. Yeah. And but I once again, thank you to my fans. I thought that, when Harley sort of started to calm down in sales and like the focus shifted away, um, just be and just because I haven't been doing the book, not because does that make sense? I thought that maybe things would calm down for me, but they haven't. Uh, I have a lot of loyal fans that follow me for me as an artist and not me because I worked on Harley or I worked on Spider-Man or whatever. So that's been really cool. Very cool.
Well, see, that's one of the things I love about you, Chad, because it's because you're so talented, man. Like people needed to see it. Yeah, you got on a big book that got more eyes on it, but once the eyes were there, people realized how talented you were. But here's the other thing, because again, you and I have interacted at shows many times. First of all, you're one of us. You love comics, but you're so grateful and you're so humble. You never let it go to your head, and you're happy to sit there and talk. And I know even when you're busy and you don't always have time, but that's one of the things I wanted to mention for aspiring artists. So these kind of books that Chad puts out are great to look at and learn and bring it to a show where he's there and if you've looked at it, say, hey, why'd you make this choice? Why'd you make that choice? Because you're a teacher as well. You love to kind of pass on and give to the next generation, right?
Yes, I'm actually a tenured professor of illustration. I did retire in 2023. But yeah, I'm actually a professor. And believe it or not, I might be one of the only people on the planet to actually have an MFA in comic books.
Yeah.
And then I was probably one of the only people to take that degree and turn around and teach it. Because I do want to say this to anybody who's interested in being an artist, unless you plan on teaching, you do not need an MFA. Save that money, okay?
Yeah.
But like I said, I did it because I basically never planned on me being a success. I grew up in Las Vegas, so I learned very young. You always hedge your bets.
Right.
You know what I mean? So so yeah, if it wasn't for the fans and it wasn't for the support of the comics community, I would still be there teaching. Um, but if you also told me that being what once you become a professor, you stop being an artist full time and you become an educator full time,
Hmm.
and then art becomes second. And that was something that had I known before I signed up to do it, I wouldn't have done it. Um, because I'm just one of these people that's not happy unless I'm drawing.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I love my students, I love teaching. Um, but the university, they love to waste your time on stupid stuff.
Oh yeah.
Like
The bureaucracy of it all.
well, and okay, so not to get off on too wild of a rabbit hole, but tenure for a professor, it means that you weren't a screw up.
Hmm.
Okay. But to ensure that you're not a screw up, they make you jump through a lot of fiery hoops.
Yeah.
And I felt like, hey, I had the number one selling comic book in 2016. There's my credentials.
Yeah. Exactly.
And anyway, it's designed to keep fraudsters out. I understand the process, but I don't have the patience.
Yeah. No, I get it. I
I'm
get
just
it.
like, oh, come on. When I submitted my 10-year resume, I had 27 pages of publications. Most of my peers had
Yeah.
one or two lines.
Yeah.
I had 27 pages. I'm like, come on, I'm qualified, anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but it's one of those things, like we were saying, there's never enough time. And so having to do that extra stuff, I think it keeps you away from the drawing table. So
exactly.
I guess congrats on closing that chapter and having more time for the art.
And
So
I can go, and the cool thing about being tenure is you can always go back.
right.
It's like an open door. So if I ever want to do it again, I can do it again. But I'm having too much fun right now doing comics. And let's see how far we can take it.
Yeah,
That's my attitude.
yeah, and you did recently you ran a Kickstarter campaign for Death Watch,
Yes.
which has been fulfilled and what have you. So is that kind of where your focus is going to go, more on the creator owned stuff right now?
Um, I I am really enjoying right now. I'm doing full-time covers for Marvel. Thank you to Nick Lowe, Devin, and Emily, who are my editors at Marvel. Um, I really feel like when I said I wanted to come back to comics, there was a lot of people that were like, great. And then there was Nick and Devin and Emily at Marvel that not only said great, but they're like, okay, here's some work.
Yeah,
And then when you turn it, then when you return the emails and you give them good artwork, then here's some more work.
right.
So, but lots of people don't get that chance. Lots of people don't get that chance, and so I was lucky to get that chance multiple times. But yeah, I love doing that. But the cool thing about doing covers for Marvel is, covers only take me a couple days,
Hmm.
and so it's like, and Marvel fans are so supportive. Usually, I do all my covers traditionally, so I'm able to sell that original artwork, and that sort of funds. I take that money and I reinvest it into creator-owned projects. So if I'm doing interiors now, I really want to do them for myself.
Right. Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it's so much more of a time investment, right? And
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
that's not to say, and I talked to a lot of artists about this, even when you're doing a single image, right? you're still trying to tell a story. You're still trying to convey emotion, but it is a little bit of a different artistic muscle. I think your Ghost Rider cover, Final Vengeance, I think #1, that cover's amazing. That's a perfect example. It's dynamic and it's conveying action, and it's kind of almost like a story in and of itself.
See, and I always liked the narrative covers. When I was growing up, they were all narrative covers. If you could look at the cover of a comic when I was buying comics as a kid and know exactly what the story was going to
Right.
be.
Yeah.
And now that's gone out of fashion unless it's a big project where
Hmm.
they've planned it out, and and usually with big projects they have everything in the can before they go to publishing, unless they're working with some divas. But
Right.
I'm not going to spill that tea. But uh but a lot of the covers today are what they call inventory covers,
Yep.
or they don't know what's going to be in the book. So you just sort of have to do like a generic cover that is has nothing. You see a lot of pinups,
Yep.
a lot of cheesecake, a lot of beefcake, and there's nothing. I'm not throwing shade on anyone, but to me that can get a little boring, a little repetitive. And so if I have the chance, like if I'm working on something that's mine, you can bet that there is something narrative in that illustration that ties into the story, because I want to keep that ball rolling. I would love to see more of that in comics and less of the inventory stuff.
Yeah, I think a lot of times now people, an artist is told, okay, it's a cover for, this book, or it's a cover for this character. They don't even get a chance to read the script. They have no idea what the story is about.
Yeah, yeah. A lot of artists, exactly. It's a luxury.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. To get the full script before the book comes out and to know what you're actually drawing the cover for, it is a rare thing and a luxury.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everybody go and check it out. I'll put it in the show notes as well. Picture that Final Vengeance cover because it's absolutely fantastic. But yeah, we did mention the Kickstarter. You're doing this campaign on Zoop. So
Zoop.
was that a decision just to kind of save time? I know Zoop handles a lot of the logistics on the back end.
Yeah. Eric and Jordan were like, do we want to try and herd this cat? Artists are a flaky bunch, and so and once again, I ran Death Watch. I had the help of some really incredible friends. Shout out to Chris Hoffman and Murphy Ledke, who, if it wasn't for them, that campaign would have crashed and burned. They literally pulled me out of the fire. But once again, it becomes one of those things where it's like I'm spending 2 months on this campaign and I'm not producing any artwork.
Right.
That's not good.
Hmm.
And so, when I talked with Jordan, Jordan's like, give us a chance. We can handle this. And you just draw. And I'm like, okay. And so that sounded fantastic to me. So we're giving Zoop the old college try. And I hope that it's the first of many campaigns to come.
Yeah, because that's the other thing. We talked about your fans and how engaged you are. You really have a community of fans, and I think that's one of the great things about crowdfunding, kind of cutting out that middleman. Because then, you're speaking directly to fans, you know what they want. Because we talked before about not everybody gets a chance to get to conventions or what have you. So this is a chance, if you're a fan of Chad, maybe you've never had a chance to meet him, join the Zoop campaign, feel like you're part of the community. And yeah, you really get a chance to have a gorgeous book of Chad's work, but more than that, being part of the community and meeting like-minded fans. I think there's a lot of value in that, right, Chad?
For sure. Absolutely. Well, and for me, I love that because, like I said, I'm just a big of a comic nerd as anybody. So I
Yep.
love shooting. You know how you love talking comics. I love talking comics, and the fans love talking comics. And so, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, and I'll remind everybody, as I always do, maybe you're a huge fan of Chad and you would love to be a part of the campaign, but it just doesn't make sense for you financially. It's not feasible for you right now. The other way you can help him out is to share this on social media, right? By the time this episode drops, you're listening to this, the campaign's live. Let your comic shop know about it. Let your other comic reading friends know about it so they can go, just take a minute, 30 seconds, go check out the campaign, see if it's right for you. Let's make sure to spread the word because that's the other thing. I mean, it is a little bit different on Zoop with Kickstarter. Once the campaign's over, you pretty much can't get the book. Zoop does keep a little bit of inventory, but that's not going to last forever. So the best thing is to, have people that want to join the campaign and get the tiers that they want to get when they get it. So let's spread the word and make sure everybody hears about it. And kind of on that note, Chad, what are some of the tiers? Obviously, the book. What
Mhm.
are some of the other things that you're offering? Do you know
So
at this point,
I
prints
have
or?
I have a list right now, and there might be some modifications to this. Jordan, Eric, and I think we're going to nail it down 100% tomorrow. But we have the $5 basic support tier, which is just a thank you. We usually have a thank you page in all of our books that we do, especially crowdfunded books. $15 gets you a digital art package of the Art of Chad Hardin Volume 4. Then we have the physical copy for $30. Um, the Art of Chad Hardin Volume 4 with a pencil remark in the front cover. We have that for 60. So if you'd like a piece of personalized artwork,
Really? You can get a
yes.
remark for so
And
basically for $30 you're getting Chad Hardin original
y-
art. I don't think you can beat
exactly.
that. You can't beat that
Exactly.
price.
Right.
Wow.
And so
You're gonna be busy doing those,
and
man. They're gonna
I'm
fly.
not gonna limit it either. So if you want a
Wow.
personalized sketch, you got it.
Wow.
And then we got the complete art book collection. There's a lot of people. I don't know what happens, and I know they've already bought the books. I don't know if they moved or if someone stole them or whatever. But if for whatever reason you need all four at this point, we have all four books for $100, which is a savings of 16.67%. I'm sure that Jordan and Eric will make that sound sexy. And who knows, we might
Well,
get
even
a
at $30 a piece, it's 120. You're getting them for 100.
right,
That's still a
exactly.
deal. Yeah.
Yeah, you're getting a deal. And then we have what I call the complete art book sketch bundle, where you can get all four plus um uh plus a just the covers, which is I, so the last year I've been doing a lot of covers. This is the collection of all the covers I've done. So if you somehow missed out, and maybe I deviated off your radar when I left Harley, this is a good place to catch up on what I've been doing.
Yeah, well,
And
the other thing about that is sometimes your covers are on the ratios, right? Not everybody can afford, 1 in 25 or 1 in 75. Here you get all of them,
right,
a little more economical.
that's a great point. That, that's great. And now here's another cool thing I'm going to plug. So Murphy at Crowd Control is working on my web store right now. And so if for whatever reason you can't get it in your comic book shop, come to, I think it's going to be chadhardinart.com, because that's my web address, but we're currently switching it from one site to another. So if you go there and it's not there yet, hopefully we're gonna have enough of those variants that if you're a fan and you want one, you can get one. But this is, like you said, this is a way to get all of them in one place for an insanely low price. We're also throwing in the Art of Chad Hardin coloring book. That's for 120. And then once again, if you want to remark on one of those, that's tier number 6 at 150. So, and then everything else after that, there's like, basically just comes with more drawings and, more content. We have the art collector. I think we have one where I give you copies of, no, those are all add-ons. So for add-ons, if you missed Death Watch, we're going to have those in the add-ons. We're going to have some covers available in the add-ons. Um, but yeah, after that, then the rest of them are basically deals with commissions. So if you want like a half body commission, that's going to be, let's see, uh, that's probably that's going to be the VIP art experience. Okay. Um, and that we have that at like 500. So the the lower the price, the more simplified the sketch, the higher the price, the more complicated sketch. And
So
then,
everybody don't wait. Go go to
yeah,
the campaign now. Because that's the
and
other thing.
those
You
will
are
be
gonna have to
limited.
limit some of these and
Yes,
they're
yeah,
gonna go quick.
yeah. Once I start whipping out the ink, because there's some artists who they can ink just as fast, if not faster, than they pencil.
Hmm.
I'm one of these guys that I'm fast on the pencil, but I'm slow on the inks.
Right.
And so yeah, those will be limited. And then our two giant tiers are going to be the executive producers, where you get an executive producer credit in the book itself, plus original art. either from Death Watch or I did. So the cover that we're showing right now, that was the work in progress cover. I actually am for all the Art of Chad Hardin volume books. I created a unique original piece, and so we're going to have the original art for the Art of Chad Hardin volume 4 for sale as well. And
Wow.
that's the ultimate package. So you can executive produce, get the um, get the original art for the book, and get the commission of your choice. So
Yeah, that's huge. It's always cool when you're the one, like there'll be hundreds, if not thousands, of these books out there, but you're the one person that has that original piece. That's bragging rights for life, people.
yeah,
Yeah.
and especially if I keep doing more covers,
Yeah.
and that's what I like to. That's what I like to tell my fan. Hopefully, every time, because I was on a very interesting thread the other day where there was a young artist who said, I can't believe the prices some of these guys are charging. They're just ripping people off. And I'm like, slow your roll, son.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. I thought the same thing. I was like, I'm never going to charge my fans for a signature. But, and honestly, to this day, if you want a signature and I can personalize it to you, it's still free.
Hmm.
Okay. But what they don't understand, there's a lot of people out there that just want to flip a product.
Yep.
Um, if I sign a comic book to a comic book store, I know that that comic book store is going to sell it for 5 times the
Yep.
cover price. And
Hmm.
and I'm okay with that. But I don't sometimes when you're young and people aren't smothering you with attention, um, you can't sign it all. I that was one of the first lessons I learned with Harley Quinn. I literally had retailers bringing up wagons full of comics,
Yeah.
and I would spend all day at the convention signing comics, and they wouldn't buy a thing.
Yep.
So that's when your time is valuable. You're there to work. You got to charge for those signatures. You got to charge for the original art.
Well, I love the way that J Jimmy puts it, right? Like, because I'm friends with him. Obviously, you know him very well also. And we were having a conversation one time, and he's like, okay, look, it's not, yes, it might only take me to, 5 minutes to do a quick remark or, head sketch or whatever. You're not paying me for that 5 minutes. You're paying me for the experience that I've learned over a lifetime that allows me to do that in 5 minutes.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. There.
Not everybody can do it. There's value in that.
Well, and like I said, I hope to be one of these people that improves until I die. And that just makes the artwork you get more valuable.
Yep.
Um, yeah, because, and don't get me wrong, I love prints and things like that, but the print is always going to be worth what you bought the print for.
Hmm.
If I get asked all the time, you think this is going to be worth more money? I was like, listen, when it comes to prints, if it ever becomes more valuable than what you paid for it, you're doing good.
Yep.
But when it comes to original art, that's a completely different story because original art cannot be mass produced. It can't. There
Yeah.
are people that can crank out sketches, but it can't be mass produced. So I get asked that all the time. I get asked by retailers all the time. Well, if I buy 20 commissions, I'm like, first of all, I don't have time for 20
Nobody
commissions.
could.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like thank you for the interest, but I'm like, this isn't a. I'm not baking donuts.
Yeah, exactly.
You
So I'll be able to get those to you by like 2040. Are you good with
Exactly,
that?
right? Yeah. No, exactly. Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's been fantastic chatting with you, Chad. It's always great to see you. You going to be doing any shows this year? Where am I going to see you next?
Okay, so my next show is I believe Alaska. Um
Wow.
and there's a lot of people I'm getting a lot of flack from fans because I'm not going to see 2E2. Um but you got to understand, like, I've never been to Alaska,
Yep.
and they're giving Joy and I like a little tiny mini vacation.
Well, it's
And
good to go different places you've never been because you're going to
yeah,
get to meet some fans you've never met before.
I see, and I love that. Not only do I love meeting people, but I also love seeing the culture, and
Yeah.
that's been one of the best side benefits to comics is, I mean, I've gotten to go to Dubai and Saudi Arabia and Tokyo, and had it not been for COVID, I would have been to Sao Paulo, Brazil, and Cape Cod and I just messed it up. Brazil, if you're listening, I'm still game. That was heartbreaking to me because and then I was supposed to go to Melbourne too, but I had planned on basically visiting I would have had every continent and every state in the United States if it wasn't
Wow.
for COVID. So this is after Alaska, I only have 4 states that I haven't been to in America, but I still now I got to go back or I got to get another show in South America, Africa, and Australia.
Yeah, that Brazilian show I've heard is bigger than San Diego. Like it's
Yeah,
gigantic.
everyone I've talked to said it's absolutely nuts
Yeah.
in the best way.
Right.
That's in a good way, not nuts in a bad way. Like you, you know, you don't think things can get busier than San Diego.
Right.
If you've been to San Diego, I mean, holy cow! It is just humanity shoved together closer than I want to.
Yeah.
If you're claustrophobic or you're not a people person, maybe San Diego's not for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I always tell people go to WonderCon is like San Diego Light, very
I
similar without as
well,
many people.
I say WonderCon's like San Diego 20 years ago.
Yeah.
That's what I
Yeah.
tell people.
Yeah. Yep.
WonderCon feels exactly like San Diego before people found out about San Diego.
Yeah. Before everybody wanted to go.
Yeah,
Well, okay, if you're gonna be in Alaska, everybody, there you go. Be sure you
yeah.
look for it
And then I should hit the bigger ones, all the other bigger ones. So hopefully Seattle, hopefully definitely Dallas, definitely New York, definitely San Diego. So all the tier one shows except for and I'm sorry, everyone's so mad, but Alaska
That's all right.
just sounds like fun.
Yeah, you'll catch them. You'll catch them next year.
I'll be there next year. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. There you go.
Yeah.
I will be there next year.
Okay. Remind everybody where they can find you online. Are you active on social media? What have you?
So my most popular social media is Hardin_art at Instagram.com. I am verified, not because I'm full of myself, just because I'm trying to run a business off of it. Also, Chad Wayne Hardin on Facebook. Just Chad Hardin on X or Twitter, whatever you want to call it. And then everything else I think you can basically find through Meta, like threads and stuff like that. So yeah.
Great. And I'll
Um,
put links to the social media in the show notes, everybody,
and
as
and
well. So
by the time this launches, ChadHardinArt.com, Murphy should have that up and running. So
yeah, and I'll put a link to the not just the social media, but also the website as well, and obviously a link to the Zoop page. Go and check it out. Become part of the community. Check out Chad's art. And again, maybe you want to join the campaign. Just doesn't make sense for you financially right now. Just share it on social media. Let your retailer know. Let's get the word out and help Chad out. So, hey man, great chatting with you as always. Appreciate the
Jace,
time.
thank you so much. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah. And to all you listeners, we appreciate you joining us as always, whether you're listening audio only or YouTube. We really appreciate the support, and we will talk to you next time.
Bye bye, everybody.